Greetings, I'm James Kistler, reference and genealogy librarian, and I'm going to try to share this screen, which unfortunately I don't have up, so I'm going to have to try to pull it up here. Just give me a few seconds and I'll have it pulled up in nothing flat. You've probably seen how I do this. Let's try that again. Now I can share it. There we go. Hopefully you can see it and me up in the upper right-hand corner. And you can make this slideshow for you. And this month's video, as you might have already determined, is how to fill out a pedigree chart. And it's also known as an ancestor or ancestry chart, and more commonly called a family tree. Now, to begin with, the best way is to use yourself. Just put your name right on number 1. And John Gregory Smith is not an actual person, it's a made-up name. So I don't want you thinking I'm doing genealogy work for the Smiths, because I'm not. I haven't been asked to. And I have no idea who John Gregory Smith might be. It's just a fictional name used for the purpose of this video. And if you see me looking to the left, that's because that's where my text is that I'm going to be reading from today. After you start with yourself, then you're going to want to use your parents, but I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. Let's jump back to this. Why should you start with yourself? You know, lots of people want to know if they're related to a famous person. This is what they were told one time or another. Some people want to know if they have Cherokee, Native American, Indian roots. Well, the best way to find this out is to start with yourself. There is no magical thing that is going to pull up who that famous person is and then make you automatically related to them. There's no way to find that out, except unless you start with yourself and do your own personal genealogy. Once you've gone as far as you can look at the famous person's genealogy and then try to determine if you have any matching relatives. So you're going to start from scratch. Now, if you are a seasoned genealogist, there aren't going to be too many of you viewing this video, but just in case you are, you might want to consider doing a genealogy do-over. Now, this is something that was presented by another genealogy guru out there. I believe his name is Thomas McEntee. You can Google his name. It's Macentee. Thomas is spelled just like you would imagine it would be spelled, Thomas. And he's into this genealogy do-over this year, and he's done research for years. But if you start over again, sometimes you might end up finding those brick walls. So start from scratch. The next thing to do is to add the parents, your parents. Note that all the men in your family tree are going to be on even numbers. So your father is number 2, and your grandfather is number 4, and number 6, and so on and so on. Use the female's surnames, their maiden surnames, that is. If you don't know them, I would suggest you leave it blank until you do know them. And maybe a future YouTube video will be on that very subject. You never know what I might come up with. After that, one last thing. You'll notice that the surnames are capitalized. I recommend doing this very much so because there are some surnames out there that can be also first names. And there are 2 that just come to my mind off the top of my head, and those are Mark and James. Those are first names, but they can also be last names or surnames. Oh, but where do my siblings go? There isn't room on a pedigree chart for all your siblings and aunts and uncles and so forth. But there is a special sheet called a family group sheet. And it looks like this. This sheet has more room for additional information about parents, such as their careers or occupations, when and where they were buried, when and where they were married. Although some pedigree charts will have that listed on there, and you can squeeze it in there. And there's room for additional notes. Maybe on this particular one, you want to put their religious affiliation, or if they were in any other organizations that you know of, especially if they were members of the DAR. Hey, you've got genealogy information out the wazoo if they were. So that's what you can do with this sheet. Now you might be saying, well, where can I get one of these? Well, you can stop by the genealogy department. Now, I'm happy to give you 2 sheets of both the ancestry chart and the family group sheet. I would encourage you to save one to use as a master copy that you can make photocopies of for yourself, and then save and then start your family history on the second one. But do save a blank one, because I don't know how long my sheets will last out. It's just until they're gone. But I'm happy to give out sheets or pedigree charts. On this chart, you'll notice there's room for 8 children and their spouses. Well, way back when, I mean, our ancestors sometimes had a dozen or more children. Well, if that's the case, you just simply add another family group sheet. You may also get some of these online. You can Google family group sheet if you want. But here are some sources for free family group sheets, and they are in no particular order. I do want to point out that the Family Tree Magazine one will probably ask for your email. So if you're not keen on getting yet another email from another source, because Family Tree Magazine will add you to their newsletter, you might want to consider one of the other ones. And finally, here's my contact information. Feel free to call or email me with any questions you might have about these sheets, how to use them, or with any of your genealogy or local history types of questions. And I'll be happy to help you out. And if you didn't get a chance to write down all the sources for group sheets, free family group sheets, simply rewind this video and you'll be right there. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you have a great one.